What is up, guys? Long time no see. This is Justin from Team Shenanigans. It's been a long time since I've done a video, so we're about to get back into the habit of making them. Had some problems with the computer, but we're all up and running again now, and hope to be bringing y'all a lot more content here coming up within the next few weeks, especially with Springfest coming up. We're going to be going to Springfest Atlanta, so hope to see as many of y'all there as possible and look forward to a good tournament. But today, this is not what I'm going to be running at Springfest. Honestly, this is probably the deck I have the most fun playing, but besides Shadows, which is my tournament deck, I play Revengers. But this deck has got to be probably, my more fun deck. It's still competitive, but it feels like it's still lacking a little bit for it to be like top tier and compete with like your Revengers and your, especially like Link Joker and stuff like that. Not saying it can't beat them, it really can, but I'm a little more comfortable taking a deck like, you know, a more OP deck to a tournament. But this is definitely just one of the funnest decks I've ever played in Vanguard. So as you can tell, it's Bluish Flames, and my build might be a little different than everybody's. You're probably looking at a couple cards thinking, what the hell? I'm going to explain. So first of all, let's start with the grade 3s. I run 8. I run 4 Glare because he's the boss of the deck, and if you don't know what he does, it's her first skill is Counterblast 1, choose a rear guard and retire it. Look at the top 4 for up to 1 Liberator, and call it. And his other skill is whenever a unit is placed on rearguard, Counterblast 1, discard a unit with Bluish Flame in its name, and currently those are only, grade 3 units. And for the rest of that turn, he gets a crit +1, and your opponent can only guard with grade 0s. So he's a really good unit, but he's more of like a combo based. Of course, he's Legion, so you put your triggers back in the deck and everything. So he's your boss card of the deck. And my backup grade 3, I choose to run Prominence Core. I don't see. I really feel like, especially at this point with strides and stuff, it really doesn't matter what your backup is to Glare, Core, or Percival. They're both good. It depends on your preference. Percival on Legion can call out some can prompt check the top 4 and call it for free. So that's good, but I choose to run Core instead because my mindset is, like I said, it doesn't really matter. Plus, if I can't dig out Glare and I can't Stride for some reason, Core actually has a skill that can possibly win me the game. He's Legion also. He Legions with the other Aglavel, and his first skill is the same as Glare's. Counterblast 1, retire a unit, check the top 4, and Superior Call it. Superior Call 1 Liberator from among them. His secondary skill is a little different though. Whenever a unit, when he's on your Vanguard, whenever you Superior Call another copy of him or the mate while he's in Legion, he gains +3 in a crit. So that's pretty good. It's just more, a little more situational. But like I said, I like it more than Percival just because it can do its own thing. Just in case you don't have Glare and you can't Legion. But usually you're going to be going after Glare. He's just there as a backup and discard fodder. So onto the grade 2s, I run 11. The first Aglavel is Regulation Aglavel. He's Glare's Legion Mate. He's an 11k attacker when you have a Vanguard with Bluish Flame in its name. And when he's placed on rearguard from the deck, Soul Blast 1, check the top 5 for a Bluish Flame and add it to your hand. So he's a good 11k attacker, he's Glare's Legion Mate, and just an overall really good card because when you're doing all your shenanigans, you can choose to resolve his ability first if he's Superior Called, search out a grade 3 if you don't have it, and then activate Glare's skill to Counterblast 1, discard the grade 3 you just added, so he can make Glare's second skill virtually free, the discard part anyway. On to the next grade 2, which is honestly like the MVP of the deck. It's a 4 of in every Liberator deck, not just Bluish Flames. Oath Aglavel. Whenever it's placed on rearguard, Counterblast 1, check the top 3, Superior Call a Liberator from among them. Simple. 9k grade 2, and it is the Legion mate to Core or Percival. So it's very, very, very good card. It can prompt all your effects and help pump up your Brunos, prompt up Glare, get you a Josephus, get you anything. And the last grade 2 of the deck, Brinius. I choose to run him rather than the new grade 2 from Fighters Collection. He's just better in my opinion because you don't have to be in Legion or anything for his effect to activate. Just when he's on rear guard, every time you superior call a unit, he gets plus 2k power and the skill to, when he hits, unflip a damage, and that all stacks. So if you superior call 3 units, he gets plus 6, and if they let his attack hit, you unflip 3 damage. So that's really good in my opinion. He's just another pseudo 11k attacker, and so it fits in my build better because I run catch calls, of course, so the stand triggers. So he's really good, and a column with him and Bruno can get really big and really scary. Like I said, I choose to run him instead of the new grade 2 from Fighters Collection Winter, just because that grade 2's, while it's good, it's more situational. It requires you to be, I don't know, it just requires you to be like in Legion or Strode already, and I don't know. I like this better because the deck can go through a few counterblasts if you're forced to use Glare's effect more and your new Stride counterblast. So it's just nice to have and it also gives you some on-hit pressure. And I like the grade 2 rush. The grade 2 rush for this deck's amazing. And on to the best grade 1 in the deck, Bruno. It's old grade 1. He is what you want to have behind your Glare to make it super scary. 7k grade 1, whenever a unit Spirit Call from the deck, it gets power plus 3. And of course that stacks, so your columns can get really big behind that Glare column, because Glare doesn't gain power or anything, so when it's Legion, it's just 20k, so you want a Bruno behind it, or something else to give it power. You want to be able to pump this to make it actually matter. And for the PGs, I run 4 of the PGGs. The unflipping's nice. It can't guard your rear guards, but it doesn't really matter because while these rear guards are good, the only one you really want to keep on the field is maybe Brinius. These guys are replaceable and everything, and you can refill your field pretty easily with this. So you're only needed to protect your Vanguard, and the unflipping damage is nice. Like I said, this deck can go through counterblasts pretty quickly, even though it's not necessarily counterblast heavy. On to the next grade 2, the next grade 1, I run 3 Josephus. I used to run Zoran, but I'm trying out a little more drawing because like draw triggers in this deck aren't very good, in my opinion. Just my opinion. Some people like them, I really don't. But Josephus is nice. 7k grade 1. Whenever it's placed on rear guard from the deck, Soul Blast 1, draw a card. So he can, if you get him off a check while you're in Legion with Glare and you draw grade 3, then you can, after you call him, Soul Blast 1, draw a card, and then you can prompt Glare's skill, the Counterblast 1. If you drew into a grade 3, discard it. So that's nice. Next is where my build gets really different. I run 1 Stride Enabler just because I was running 2, but I made another little change and bumped it down to 1. It's nice to have, but you don't want too many of them in the deck because they're not Liberator, and the only card that can call non-Liberators is Catch Call. Catch Call doesn't care what it calls, it just can't call another Catch Call. So you don't want to run too many non-Liberators in the deck, so running more than 2 Stride Enablers can kind of clog you in this build. And you don't really want to be discarding too many grade 3s to Stride. So the 1 Stride Enabler is nice. It's nothing special. It's just there for when you need it. Next, I run 2 Guidos in the deck. I run Guido instead of, these would be Zorons, but Guido's better in my opinion, because not only is it an extra, it's 10k shield, it messes up your grade 1 ratios, but you get a mulligan in this game and everything, and you're generally going to have a grade 1 to ride, and then you can generally call and superior call stuff until you get your Brunos. So it's not really a big deal. You don't even really mind riding the PG because then you can soul blast it later, and it's in the drop zone for your unflipping. So I run the 2 Guidos just because it's basically the same thing as Zoran. Anytime when it's on the field, you can move it to soul, check the top 3, superior call 1 Liberator from among them, and then put the other 2 back in the deck and shuffle the deck. Zoran doesn't prompt. Zoran's a 7k grade 1. So it's better for ride consistency. But Zoran only goes to the soul when it's superior called, and it doesn't prompt the shuffle. If you draw into a Guido, you can still play it and then activate the skill. So if you're in a tough spot and you're on glare, and your opponent, let's say you're at 4 with 1 open counterblast, your opponent purposely didn't put you to 5, so you couldn't glare. You top deck into a Guido, you can prompt your glare then. So he's just a really good card in my opinion, and it works the same way as Zoran, like I said. If you superior call this off a catch call or off a glare, you can then do the skill. And it's not a dead draw like Zoran is. So it's really good, and it prompts the shuffle. That's really super important. Guido shuffles, Guido prompts the shuffle, catch call prompts the shuffle, the crit prompts the shuffle, regulation Aglavell prompts the shuffle. It's really nice because Oath Aglavell and your core and glare skills don't shuffle the deck. The cards go to the bottom. So it's really nice to get that shuffle off when you need it, in case you had to put triggers to the bottom and you shuffle the deck back up. So I run 2 Guido just for that reason. It's extra shield, which is nice. So it can kind of help you out like in the D-Police matchup and stuff like that. Next, my starter in the deck, I actually run Cheer Up Trumpeter. A lot of people don't run this. I used to run Guido, but with the Link Joker and everything that disrupts your rear guards, it's nice to have the option to Cheer Up Trumpeter. It can really help glare get a lot bigger. Its effect, if you don't know, is you can move it to soul, and then choose one of your vanguards with Liberator in its card name. For the rest of that turn, whenever a card is superior called, that unit gets power +3. So it basically turns your glare into a Bruno. So your column can get huge if you move this to soul and have a Bruno behind your vanguard. That's one huge column, and it can get really scary and really game ending. So it's just a nice other option to have, so you don't have to 100% depend on the Bruno. There's also the dog you can run. It's a 5k Bruno. It's good too. I've actually considered running it, but for now, Cheer Up's good. I've liked it in playtesting. It can also get out of the way, so I like that it doesn't just sit there on the field. It can go in soul and then get out of the way for your superior calling, because Aglavell has superior call to open. So that's nice. And yeah, the 5k, I forget his name, the dog. It's like the starter that's basically Bruno. It gains +3 too, so you can, without going away, so you can argue that it's better than Cheer Up. But I really like being able to Cheer Up into the soul and then place a Bruno behind it, behind the glare, so the column gets extra huge. So that's just why I like it better than the other starter. If I wasn't running that, I would just keep running Guido as the starter. On to triggers, I run 8 crit. Flame of Victory is really good because, while it's not a Liberator, so it can kind of suck if you check them off your skills where you have to check for a Liberator. But other than that, it's the best crit, one of the best crits to run, just because it can also help you pump your glare. 4k trigger, move it to soul, power +3 on something. So that's really good. It can help bump your glare up to a stage. I've had all 4 of them in hand before and been needing to go for game that turn, just all 4 to soul, +12 to my vanguard. So it can be really devastating. Next, Bartuck, the Liberator crit that when it's placed on rearguard from the deck, put it on the bottom of the deck, check the top 5, no, top 4, sorry, top 4 for Bluish Flame, and add it to your hand. So it's just extra grade 3 Searcher, really good for consistency with Glare skill and grabbing you stride fodder if you need it. And the 4 stand, Catch Call, best stand in the game, so good. When it's placed on rearguard, put it to the bottom of the deck, check the top 3, and Superior Call something, and then shuffle the deck. So it prompts the shuffle, it keeps your chain calling going to make your Bruno huge, your Glare huge with Cheer Up, and it's just really nice. You just keep going and going and going. The only thing that sucks is it can't call another Catch Call. So, but you can use it to call Josephus and draw 1, this to do its skill, Aglavel to keep going, Guido to keep going. It's just really nice. And then 4 heal. Nothing special here, just Napgall. Just an adorable, adorable heal trigger. And then my strides, I run 4 of the new stride, the True Liberator Holy Flame. Counterblast 1, flip a copy, and check the top 3. For each face-up copy of him, you check the top 3. Superior Call 1 Liberator from among them and put the other 2 to the drop. So it can be your first stride, and it's a really good first stride because it can also fuel your drop zone for Legion, so you don't have to worry about pitching guarding unnecessarily if you don't need to, which was one problem with this deck because you often need the Legion really fast. So this can really help fuel that drop zone a little bit if you need it. And you go into it first, and then next turn you Legion with Glare. And if you're going to against something that likes to wipe out your field and you just need more rear guards, he can really help fill your field back up if you stride into him the second time, flip that 3rd copy up, because then you get to call 3 cards. You get to check the top 3, call 1, check the top 3, call 1, check the top 3, call 1. So it's really good, all for 1 counterblast. So it's pretty decent. It's in playtesting, I like it a lot better than I thought I would. I wasn't really impressed with it when it was first revealed, but it's a decent card. It's a nice setup card. Glare's still a finisher, but it's a good consistency card. Next, I run 2 Scourge Point, just for basically Aglavel. If you have an Aglavel in hand, it can get really good. Scourge Point is whenever something's superior called, that the unit that is superior called and this unit get power +5. So it can make really strong columns, and it's just a nice card to have. It's decent. Nothing super special. Eventually, hopefully, we'll get some better strides to run, but it's honestly better in Gurgrit builds, but it can be decent in this too. Next, Campbell, just your basic on-hit stride. If it hits, check the top 5, Superior Call 1, and it gets power +2. So it's decent, but usually the only time you would go into this first, rather than this or this, is if you don't have a Counterblast and you don't have an Aglavel. So you would generally always go into this first, pretty much. But if you, it's late game, you've already hit all these, or it's early game, you don't have a Counterblast, you don't want to waste one, you can go into him, and he's decent. And then my last stride is a Madu, just because Madu is so OP in this deck. Late game, if you can't really rely on Glare to kill them, and if you're Legioned, but you want to stride, but you don't have extra grade 3s, you're worried about pitching the grade 3 because you want to Glare them next turn, you just pitch a grade 3, stride into Madu's skill, since you're in Legion, and you have one of your hearts is a 9k, you can just grab that same grade 3 back to your hand. So then you can Glare them next turn. So overall, it's a really fun deck. I really like it. Y'all leave comments. Please like the video if you've liked it. Ask questions. Critique. Whatever you want to do. Hope you enjoyed it, and please stay tuned. Thanks, guys.